Mike.
Hey, Sully, how are you this morning?
What's up, man?
Not much. Big game, couple big games today are on the schedule. Atlantic City, St. Augustine over at St. Augustine, 6 o'clock. The winner of that game will probably be the number one team in South Jersey when our Elite 11 ranking comes out tomorrow. And the mainland girls testing themselves today. They'll be traveling up to Pemberton as part of a showcase. They'll be taking on, the nationally known Christ the King program out of New York that's produced some of the world's most famous women's basketball players, players like Sue Bird, Shamika Holdsclaw. So those two big games today kind of highlighting the basketball schedule.
I thought when you said big game, I thought you were going to say some fifth grade basketball.
Well, we're going to dabble in a little bit of that. My guys are playing in a Lacey tournament today.
Nice.
And I'm sure they'll be, your old hometown there.
There you go.
So, I'm sure they'll do well and have some fun today also.
Mike, some interesting stuff happening now in the Cape Atlantic League as we kind of start looking towards the Cal tournament. Some teams really kind of jumping up and maybe taking some of that spotlight away from St. Augustine and Atlantic City. Millville's on a 7-game winning streak. St. Joseph, we just talked to Paul Rodeo Jr., they're on a 6-game winning streak. Mainland's playing well. Ocean City is actually in a top spot in the National Conference. They got Luciano Lebrano really putting in a lot of points. So might not be a given that Prep and Atlantic City meet in the finals of that tournament.
Yeah, I think right now those two teams are obviously the favorites going in. But I think what you're seeing this week is some order or some separation start to take hold in that middle division, the national division, as you mentioned. Ocean City has a big win down at Lower Cape May. They're down 17 in the third quarter. They rally. Luciano Lebrano averaging 22 points a game for Ocean City. Really a great start. And the Red Raiders are 7-3. And nobody kind of expected them to do that coming into this season. They graduated 4 starters off last year's team, including Connor Laverty, who was a press all-star. So they really stepped up. I had a My Life feature on Andrew Donahue, a 3-sport star, football quarterback, plays on the basketball team, baseball shortstop for Ocean City. And he said the key to their success is that they've grown up playing together. They've been together since the 4th or 5th grade. And that's just a great story. That's what you love to see. You love to see those kids, those neighborhood kids get together in the 4th or 5th grade, keep it going, go to the same high school and have that success on the high school level. And then you see Mainland Regional kind of in a weird game against Holy Spirit. Oshun Asuni continues his emergence, 20 points, 17 rebounds, 6 blocks. Colleges are starting to take notice. So Mainland and Ocean City kind of, move to the top of that national division. You look at Millville, they're another surprise. They're right there as for maybe one of those at-large berths in the tournament. And then you see St. Joe kind of taking charge a little bit of the National Conference with a big win last night, the United Division rather, with a big win last night over, Cape May Tech, and Marcellus Ross, a sophomore, averaging better than 20 points a game, making a name for himself. And let's not forget about Wildwood Catholic. The loss to Cape May Tech early in the season hurt themselves, but they kind of reestablished themselves with a nice win over Pleasantville last night. So what you're seeing is teams, really starting to create a little bit of a pecking order there.
What do you make of Millville? They're 8-1 right now and really flying under the radar a little bit, but they've been one of the hottest teams in South Jersey.
Well, the two Lawrence kids can play, and the coach Mike Jones does a nice job, and defensively they're tough, and they're in a tough division. They've got 4 games, 2 against St. Augustine, 2 against Atlantic City, where they're the underdog. But they're 8-0 against everybody else, and the lone loss is to St. Augustine right now. So obviously Millville, and they've got the big win over Mainland right now. That's their kind of signature win, the win at Mainland. Right now they're kind of right there, in position to make the tournament.
Talk with Mike McGarry of the Press of Atlantic City. Mike, how about on the girls' side? Ocean City really, we kind of expect them to be good, but they're 8 straight wins to start the season. Really dominated Lower Cape May last night, and they had that great trip down to Florida, picked up a couple of wins. Are they kind of the prohibitive favorite here in the Cape Atlantic League?
Well, right now they're right there. I mean, you'd have to say right now that they would be the number one seed right now, as you said. I think they're 8-0 and 9-0 to start the season. Grace Sacco, experienced point guard. They were in the final last year against Middle Township, but let's not undersell Middle Township right now. Obviously, that was the first game of the season where Ocean City kind of beat Middle Township by double digits. I think Middle Township wasn't ready for that game. They weren't used to playing without Bridget Rusky, who was out early in the season with a broken hand. She's back now. But Middle Township's ripped off 8 or 9 wins in a row and kind of put them in position. Mainland's right there. And what I like about the girls' basketball, when I look at the girls' basketball standings and you look at those 8 teams for the Cape Atlantic League tournament right now, you kind of see some new faces. You see in the American division, you see ACIT and Millville, kind of tied, looking for a spot in the tournament. You've got Buna Regional in contention in the United Division, looking for a spot in the tournament. And you've got an Oakcrest team that's kind of come alive of lately. They beat Lower Cape May last week. They get a big win over Absegami last night. They're 5-4 or 4-4 right now, and they've kind of thrown their hat into the ring as a team to watch as far as grabbing that spot. So a lot of good competition and a lot of fresh faces on the girls' side of things, and that's always good to see.
Mike, how about Mainland? We obviously talked a lot about them early in the season with star freshman Kylie Watson. They got some other great players returning from last year's squad. And going to be a real interesting team here in the next couple of weeks as Fran Geromini, a transfer from Holy Spirit, becomes eligible pretty much any day now. So Coach Betson's really going to have his hands full trying to figure out that lineup and how they go forward.
Yeah, they'll get it figured out. I mean, they lost that opener to Wildwood Catholic, and everybody was like, oh, well, what happened there? What happened there is Wildwood Catholic's a very good team and a very well-coached team, and they were able to beat them. Then I think they lost to Middle Township, too, so they're 7-2 or 8-2. Mainland goes to Holy Spirit this week, gets another big win there, and they check themselves today against Christ the King. Mainland will be fine. Mainland is a team that is going to be better in March, late February and March than it is now. Kylie Watson is only going to get better. She's only going to adjust more. She's going to learn how to play with her teammates. Her teammates are going to learn how to play with her. Once a transfer becomes eligible, that adds another mix into it. Gabby Boggs is having an excellent season, so I'm not worried about the Mainland girls. They're going to be fine, and they're going to be a formidable team come Cape Atlantic League tournament time. They're a team that I think is only going to get better as the season goes along and they get more comfortable with each other and get more experience under their belt, because you forget just how young they are. Kylie Watson, as talented as she is, has only played 9 or 10 high school basketball games. So every game she plays, she's going to take another leap forward.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to Georgia Shane, the point guard, after the Holy Spirit win, and she was saying how each team they play is trying so many different things defensively to match up with them that they kind of have to figure out what's happening as it's happening each quarter to try to figure out offensively what they can do. I mean, you have Gabby Boggs and Kylie Watson. They're both 6-footers. You also have Allie Nazarok, who's a pretty tall player, I think around 5'11" or so. And then you have some sharp-shooting guards. Claudia Marone can hit the occasional three, and she can really get hot from time to time. And Shane is just such a great ball handler. A lot of talent there, and as they're figuring it out, like I said, they should be fine going forward.
Well, that's what I mean about learning how to play. Learning how to play. And the fact that every team they play is going to try to stop Kylie Watson. It's a matter of knowing, when to get Kylie the ball, when not to get the ball, when for the other players to step up. If they double team Kylie, that puts creates opportunities for other players, and it's a balancing act of knowing when to do that. And that's where the transfer will help too. The transfer will give them another option, another offensive option, and make them even tougher to beat. So I think that's what I mean, just that experience on the offensive end of the floor, knowing exactly what to do, when to play, say, hey, we've seen this before, or remember that, this team's doing what the team 3 games ago did, and we did this and that worked well. That's the sort of experience I'm talking about, and that's why I expect the Mainland girls to be a much more not that they're not good now, but to be to get better as the season goes along.
I'll tell you what, Mike, I was over at ACIT on Thursday, and you mentioned them as a kind of a young and up-and-coming team, and they were playing Atlantic City. which is loaded with freshmen. So those are going to be two teams to really keep an eye on the next couple of years. I mean, ACIT has Tahira Howard, who's really coming into her own as one of the top players in the league. Kayla Sykes is a real nice guard for them. And in Atlantic City, you got some familiar names, at least in terms of their dads. The Fader girl, Keith Fader, obviously he was a pretty good athlete, and Madison Bressel, her dad was a big football star at Holy Spirit. So definitely some talent on those squads.
I think some young teams, and in a division that's kind of in that American division on the girls' side right now, ACIT and Millville are undefeated, and they play each other. I believe it's not this week coming up and next week, but that's a division that's still kind of wide open, and that's when I talk about some new bases in there getting into the tournament. It's great when you can see maybe an ACIT make a run at the tournament. It's great when you can see maybe Oakcrest put themselves in position. It's great when you see Buena Regional in position in the United Division. That's sort of new blood, and that's what makes the tournament so great. If ACIT was having this sort of year, or Buena was having the year they were having, we'd look at it and say, hey, that's a nice little year, and maybe you get to play a home playoff game in the state tournament. But now you actually can be one of the 8 teams in the Cape Atlantic League tournament. Maybe you get a home game, maybe even win a game in that tournament, get to the Final Four. So it provides a real reward for Cape Atlantic League teams. And like I said, it makes this time of year can kind of be like the basketball doldrums here in January. The big showcase events really haven't started yet, the ones that everybody look forward to. Most teams are involved in just grinding out league play. But that Cape Atlantic League tournament and those 8 boys spots and 8 girls spots make, every game big. ACIT versus Millville, I think it's on the 24th or 25th, that girls game. That's a huge game with huge implications for both those teams. And, if it wasn't for the Cape Atlantic League tournament, that would be just another nice little contest for people to look at. But instead, it's a game that really, really means something.
Good stuff, as always, Mike. Got to let you go. We're up against the break. Don't want to take any time away from Minnick. He gets a little out of sorts. He gets a little out of sorts if we go over with your time here. So.
Sometimes I get rolling, so it can't slow down. But I appreciate it, Sully. Talk to you next Saturday.
All right, man. We'll see you over there tonight at the prep.
I'll be there. Thanks a lot.
All right, buddy. Have a good weekend.
See ya.
That was Mike McGarry, Press of Atlantic City.